In the not-so-distant past, I was the number 1 ranked Balatro player on the whole multiplayer server. When playing in the queue, as well as in tournaments, I would, at times, pull out a calculator to ensure that my hand would win, to see if I had to risk a glass card, or if I'd win without it, or if I had to play a gold card instead of keeping it in my hand. I enjoy optimizing my gameplay, and this was an optimization that I employed. Since I was doing this anyway, I went and found a mod that would do the calculations for me, so I could save myself and my opponent some time. It's important to note that at the time, there was no timer implemented into the game. I used a mod called Divi's Preview, which would actually display exact scores even on things like lucky cards or misprint. But I had enabled a setting to only show ranges instead of exact scores when there was any luck-based element. In fact, I even won a tournament while using this mod. Shortly after, however, Divi's Preview was banned from use in multiplayer matches. When I asked why, I was told it was due to its ability to show exact scores for luck-based elements, and that even though it had a setting to show ranges, there was no way to verify if your opponent had that setting enabled. When I heard this, I offered to make a version of this mod that would force the mod to only show ranges instead of exact values. I was given the go-ahead, and thus was born Fantom's Preview. I even took the time to make compatibility with the multiplayer-specific jokers and modifications to the base game. This version was then released and downloaded by many who also enjoyed it. At the same time, however, a balance patch was released for the multiplayer mod which added a timer. This timer could be clicked upon reaching the PvP blind first and would force the opponent to make it to the PvP blind within 120 seconds or lose a life. With this change, speed was now officially a competitive advantage. This gave rise to the biggest complaint people had about my mod. My mod did not give a knowledge advantage. Everything it told you could be observed and calculated with a simple TI-84. The problem was that my mod displayed the score for you instantly upon choosing a hand. This allowed my mod to be a speed advantage when compared to using a physical calculator. And with the addition of the timer, this speed advantage was also considered to be a competitive advantage. And you know what? I agree. Version 1 of Fantom's Preview was indeed a speed advantage. But I listened to these concerns, and I made some changes to my mod. The current version of my mod is Fantom's Preview 2.0. The main change that I made to my mod is that by default it does not tell you the score. It doesn't tell you anything. In order to see the score your hand will achieve, you must first select the hand, click the Calculate Score button, and wait for the time to elapse. Once it is ready, you will see the score for that hand. If any change is made to the card selection, or joker order is changed, the displayed score will disappear. As with Fantom's Preview 1.0, if there is any luck-based elements, then my mod will display a range of possible scores instead of an exact result. In my opinion, using Fantom's Preview 2.0 is no longer a competitive advantage when compared to using a physical calculator. Let me now address some common concerns I've heard about my mod. One concern people have is that it will allow a player using it to min-max every single hand and calculate their exact score. A simple response would be, well, shouldn't they do the same with a pocket calculator? And if someone did do that with my mod, then the timer is there to punish them for this action. The true response to this concern is that it just doesn't happen. Even myself, the creator of the mod, was surprised with how little I clicked the button to calculate score in ranked gameplay. For the vast majority of hands, you already know that your high card won't beat the blind, but my flush 5 will. So clicking the button and waiting for it to calculate is just a waste of time. As a simple example, here is a game between Bogle and Surcats from the most recent tournament. Both of them are currently ranked in the top 35, and both were using my mod during this match. This match lasted for 43 minutes, and both players were taken to their last life. With a match of this length, including 2 high-level players, how many times do you think they pressed calculate? Go ahead and guess. Oh wait, think about it. How many times did they press that calculate button? The answer to this question, how many times did both players combined use Fantom's Preview, is 2. In the entirety of this 43-minute match, they combined used the mod to calculate their score only twice. If you still don't believe me, I challenge you to download the mod yourself and see how often you really end up hitting that calculate score button. Another concern I've heard is that Fantom's preview removes a certain skill aspect to the game, playing your hands based on vibes or your mental math. And to that I would respond, anyone can already circumvent this skill through the use of a simple calculator. If I have horrible mental math skills and absolutely no vibes to draw on, my trusty calculator will even that playing field. My mod does nothing more than that calculator would have done in this aspect. Although the best response I've heard to this concern comes from Dr. Spectred, aka Balatro University. When asked about the subject, he responded, "Wanting to reward skill feels like elitist gatekeeping. Is this a contest of who has the best, as in fast and accurate mental math, or a contest of what decisions you make based on those calculations?" Speaking, of course, as a math PhD, and as someone with 3,000 hours of vibes to draw on, I like the idea of lowering the barrier to entry. Another concern I've heard is that the length of the delay before your score is shown is too short. Currently, the delay between the button press and the score display is 5 seconds. And if one were using a physical calculator, it would be easy to come up with scenarios where the calculation could be done much faster, and others where it would take longer than that. But with even top players using it few times, if at all, during a match with the current delay seems to be a disincentive enough that it is only used when absolutely necessary. Even with saying this, I am a reasonable man, so if it were to make sense to raise that time, then I would do so. Although again, I would recommend downloading the mod yourself and trying it out. Are you sitting there and hitting the calculate button in every single hand because the time is too short? Or are you more like these top players who only end up pressing it a few times in the game? The final concern that I will address in this video is one that I'm not really sure how to respond to. The claim is that Fantom's preview goes against the spirit of the game. The reason that it's hard to respond to this is because, well, what's the spirit of the game? For myself, I enjoy playing games well. During some of my single-player gold stake runs, I would pull out my calculator. I've seen Dr. Spectred pull out a calculator to make sure that their hand would beat the blind. In all these games, I never felt like I was disrespecting the game. In fact, for me, I was showing my love for this game by giving it all I've got, by playing it as well as I possibly could. I love this game. And to be honest, I made this mod for myself. It's a physical manifestation of the way I play and show my love for this amazing game. If you, however, think that using this mod would be unfun for you, or isn't what you want out of your Balatro multiplayer experience, that's okay. I respect that. My mod's not for everyone. So if you don't love it, don't use it. No offense taken. But at the very least, let me use it. Let those of us who show our love for this game by pushing it to its absolute limits do that. And you can love the game, but you love it.